Coach, how you doing, Coach? Coach, I'll die for you, Coach. I just want you to believe in me. I just want you to believe in me. Let's go to the Lions.
And they basically told me if I'm there, it's a possibility they're going to take me. So I had my phone right next to me, ringer on all the way up. Kept checking it, I was nervous, but when I got that call, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it, the feeling.
The Lions take one of my favorite players in this draft class, Isaac Tesla out of Arkansas. I'm giving this an A+. Almost 6'4", 214 pounds, ran a 4.43 at the combine.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and guess what day it is? That's right, it's a Victory Tuesday for everybody in the Duke Crew. Lions fans, everybody are rejoicing in what you saw last night on the field. There were a lot of fans that had some questions. Which team would it be? The team in Green Bay, the team that we saw against Chicago, or would we just continue to see a trend upwards with this Lions team? I think with the Lions answered a lot of questions. National media now is all jumping on board, getting back on the freight train that is the Detroit Lions are going to the Super Bowl, yada, yada, yada. We're going to break that all down today. We're going to go through the big win last night, everything we saw. I'm going to try to give you guys some coaching perspectives, I guess you could say. Yes, including who would have guessed 3 running back formations for the Detroit Lions. If you had that on your bingo card, you know what? You are the winner and probably the only one who would have had it. How about the defensive front? Moving guys around. There were a couple times we had as many as 5 or 6 linebackers on the field to stop Derrick Henry, to stop the, rushing abilities of Lamar Jackson. And you know what? What we can say when it's all done and out of the way, it all worked. The Lions came up with a brilliant game plan, made it work. Some real cojones going for it on multiple different fourth downs. We're going to break that all down. Anthony from Roar Lions UK should join us about halfway through this episode if you're watching live or tape delayed or whatever it may be. All right, before we get into the 5 headlines now, before we get into the comment section, before we get into the main topic of the day, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We are 51 subs away from hitting 14,600. Also, if you have a free second of time, doesn't cost anything at all, hit the thumbs up button, the like button, hit all the buttons. We try to get every episode of the show between 2, 3, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, with the holidays quickly approaching, perhaps you're looking for somebody to help you out, hanging your lights, maybe clean the gutters before the snow gets here, all those things in between. Are you looking for window cleaning, your home washed, gutters cleaned, holiday lights hung up? Visit www.customshinewindowcleaning.com or call Tom and Mackenzie at 248-363-1911. They've been serving Greater Oakland County since 1997. Give them a call, shoot them a text, have a conversation with them, see what they can do to help make your experience in any of these matters a whole lot easier. All right, with all that done now, let's get this show rocking, rolling, kicking off. Hey, we got a whole lot to cover and a precious little time to do it. Let's start off with 5 headlines now. All right, 5 glorious headlines coming our way on a Victory Tuesday. Lions versus Ravens. Quick takeaways from Detroit's impressive Week 3 road win. Story by Jeff Risdon, Jeff Risdon of Lions Wire. You know, you could probably say there's a whole lot of good to take away from this. If we can compress it to just 3, so be it. How about Kelvin Shepard calls a brilliant defensive game? 318 total yards, a 5.6 yards per play, 7 sacks, 30 quarterback pressures, and 2 red zone stops. We could also throw in there, Lions had an opportunity to really put the game away at different times, or at least really push it forward even more with a couple dropped interceptions. Whatever you want to say, whoever you want to give praise to, the Lions D was one of the best units in the NFL last night. Again, 30 quarterback pressures. Who would have ever guessed that going into last night's game? The fact that he had 7 sacks, there is nobody on planet Earth that went into the game, looked at the Lions pass rush and said, hey, well, they're going to sack Lamar Jackson as many times as he's ever been sacked in his career. Let that sink in. What we all know now is maybe MCDC, maybe the Detroit Lions, maybe they really did say, hey, we're good here and have something out there. You see the score out there. Let me get rid of this off the screen. And I just want to bring this up to say Jackson did not have a bad game, but I want you to look next to his name. Yes, he was 21 out of 27 for nearly 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, but 35 rushing yards. And most of those, let's be fair, came in the first half, not so much the second half. Derrick Henry, 12 attempts, 50 yards. Again, not bad, but how many of those came in the first drive, maybe even 2 drives after that? Just really wasn't a part of things out there. I think you can all say we need to give Kelvin Shepard a whole lot of praise for what he did out there. He came up with a brilliant plan, and that plan really paid off. As far as more things to analyze here, John Morton called a brilliant game. We get it. Green Bay, everybody's against him. Nobody liked him, blah, blah, blah. He's never going to be Ben Johnson. Well, now people are starting to have a different attitude. He came up with some trickery, came up with stuff we hadn't seen before. Other teams didn't have any film on it and caught him off guard. You can see the first couple times they ran the 3 running back formation. Baltimore, you can see some of the players looking over to the sideline asking for assistance from coaches because they weren't sure how to line up and go after it. I want to also analyze that last 4th down play call. We all saw Tesla out there. You saw the pinpoint pass by Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown. That thing was a heck of a rainbow shot. That thing had some airtime under it. But you also saw how they set up the formation, guys in motion, had to force the Baltimore Ravens up in the line because Ravens knew, this is a long 2, but the Lions, the way they've been pounding the ball, they could get those yards. And because you had the over coverage or bringing everybody up to the line, trying to shoot gaps, Goff laid it up, laid it in, and you know what? That probably did seal the fate for the Baltimore Ravens. Ultimately, pass rush exploded. Already talked about that. I'm sure we'll talk about that more. Special teams woes. If you're going to pick one bad thing from the Detroit Lions last night, it's probably that. They've got to figure out this coverage. They nearly gave up 1 touchdown. Thanks goodness for Jake Bates' ability to slow people down. And then they had some other kickoffs, or I think there were 2 kickoffs that could have gone a whole lot better for them. Offensive line, another big opportunity to talk about stuff here. They continue to grow. We said it on the post-game show last night. While you might not have the experience with these guys or some of the same strengths that you had last year, you've got some new strengths. And you know what? Montgomery, Ratledge, they are improving. Go back if you have some free time this week and just watch maybe like 15 minutes worth of the offensive line in Green Bay. Watch it now. Do you see the same stuff? Probably not. But I think as those 2 gentlemen continue to grow, these 2 young guys continue to get more and more experience. They get on the same page with each other and the rest of the offensive line. You know what? This Lions offensive line might be a top 5 unit. Some missed opportunities, like we said. Brian Branch dropped a would-be, interception. Probably wishes he had that thing back, but anytime you make a mistake, you probably do. And then, DJ Reed also dropped a in the end zone interception. Lions had a couple of missed opportunities. It's going to happen. They didn't come back to haunt them, which would have been the most Lions thing ever there. Quick hits. Jamison Williams was targeted just once after the opening drive. Wasn't really an intended throw. Jared Goff at halftime, 14 out of 17, 135 yards. You can go through just a ton of different stuff that the Lions did well throughout the game. Zay Flowers and DeAndre Hopkins combined for 3 catches, 26 yards on 5 targets. We all came into that game knowing Zay Flowers was a big part of the Ravens' attack. You know what? Lions took it away. Trevor Nowaski returning from his injury-filled first 2 weeks to come out there and perhaps made one of the more critical stops of the entire ball game. When Lamar had him one-on-one, Lamar tried to get him out of his cleats. And you know what? Give Nowaski some credit. He didn't bite on any of the fakes and took him down. All right, spend a little bit of time on that headline. Let's go to the next one there. All right, Mitch Ablam. Anytime I have an opportunity to get him on the show, I'm going to. Used to enjoy talking with him in Ford Field and, to be fair, the Silverdome. But anyways, he put out a story. Detroit Lions prove they are ready for prime time with win at Baltimore. This is an opinion piece. You check it out in the Free Press. And anybody who had questions about, hey, the Lions lost some talent, they've lost, some coaches, things have changed, it's all Debbie Downer. Are you still feeling that way? You can just kind of summarize where this story is going from the get-go, from the title. But they did put on a clinic here. The Detroit Lions did. They rushed the ball at will, it seemed. We can all say what we want about Gibbs is a generational talent, and he is. But I think we also need to give respect to this young man here. And then Dave Montgomery, look at the numbers he put up last night. Look at what he did, what he achieved. You just haven't seen stuff like that from a running back Monday Night Football in a while in a Detroit Lions uniform. It's no disrespect to other people who have played the position for him, but what he did last night, sometimes I feel like we forget about how good he is. And that's probably just a bad thing because, man, he was on one last night. He ran all over the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense looked suspect at stopping him. They had a little bit more success against Gibbs. Why that is, break that down later on, maybe in the show with Ant-Man. But you know what? D. Monty, the freight train, he ran all over them. And I think Appleham's story does kind of highlight just how lucky the Lions are having two dominant running backs. All right. Detroit Lions put on an offensive clinic in epic Monday Night Football win versus the Ravens. Story by Dave Burkett of the Detroit Free Press. They're going to be talking about that game for a while, not just in Detroit, but across the NFL. There are a lot of people that doubt the Lions still, even with the success we've had in recent years, still think, man, when it comes to primetime stuff, Lions just can't hold up. Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson, a generational talent at quarterback. He just can't be stopped. There's nothing out of Detroit that can do it. Slow him down. You saw what he put up week 1. You've seen what he's done week 2. And you know what? Week 3, he still put up some numbers, but they were very contained. We talked leading into this game. Maybe we all need to temper our expectations, strangely enough, for the Lions sacks to happen. We talked about how we were going to play the horseshoe around Lamar, try to eat up running lanes for not just him, but the running backs as well, and play containment with the defensive line. It worked beautifully last night. I think we probably need to understand while we don't typically get 7 sacks a game, the Lions do what they can to limit offenses and what you have available in the playbook. Per this report by Dave Burkett, I think he's spot on. Detroit Lions might just be better than we anticipate. The NFL is probably waking up today and having to revisit their thoughts over the last couple of weeks, what we should expect from this team. I think expectations are now going to go through the roof. As long as the Lions don't lay an egg this upcoming week against the Cleveland Browns, and that defense, we'll get into it later in the week, it is very legitimate. That front four for Cleveland, that might be the best in the NFL. We'll dive into that on another show, not today, though. All right, Dave Montgomery, unsung hero, silencing doubters in Detroit. Total Apex Sports, Farhad Ahmed with this one. And you know what? Dave Montgomery, we've already mentioned it a few times. We'll probably be talking about it all week long. The Lions need to find a way to get both him and Gibbs on the field at the same time. They're one heck of a treatment for each other. The fact that you can exhaust a defense chasing around Gibbs, him powering through things, and then bring in the next guy who's just as good, maybe a little bit different, but just hits holes very hard. It is a blessing. Probably most of us don't consider left, right, and center when it comes to this team, but the Lions just are blessed to have these two guys out there. They can do a whole lot of good. They do a whole lot of good. And you know what? The Lions, is there a better running back tandem across the NFL than what you've seen here? What you saw last night, what we see probably on a weekly basis with this team. I'm not sure if there is, but the Lions, they've got one. They need to find a way to unleash it more and more. And, we talked about in the preseason. We talked about in the offseason. Could there be situations where you have them both in the backfield and then Gibbs goes out and plays receiver? Probably is going to happen at some point. Just haven't seen it yet. I don't know if you'll have Dave Montgomery out there doing the same thing, but maybe they will incorporate that. What we do know is the better this offensive line gels, the more dominant they become, get more experience. These two running backs, it's just a matchup problem for everybody out there. I think the Lions, what we saw last night, it might just be the start of something. I want to bring this up on the screen. Who would have guessed that the Lions have 224 yards total rushing against the Baltimore Ravens defense? We did talk about throughout the week, maybe the Ravens aren't quite the same defense they once were. And yes, they were missing some people. I don't want to hear about that. Why? The Lions went 15-2 last year, and they were missing more than a few people. The Lions are missing a few people here today, or last night they were. So if some in the national media did jump on that, I'm sure we'll hear about it today and we'll hear about it tomorrow. Well, they were missing this guy and that guy, and yet nobody will mention the guys missing from Detroit. So I guess we need to take away the victory from Green Bay because you know what? Detroit didn't have all their defensive players. How about that? They probably won't do that, though. All right, let me get that off the screen. The last of the 5 glorious headlines now. 5 Detroit Lions whose stock rose during Monday Night Football win over the Ravens. At Lions Sports, story by Nikki Meyer with this one. You know, if I had to ask you guys whose stock went up, whose stock went down, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm guessing there will be a few who went up. Let's start with Aquadine Muhammad. Man, I know everybody's going to say he should be a full-time starter. Maybe he should. I don't know. I think, with him being 30 years old, he's taking the opportunity to get out there. He had 2.5 sacks last night. He's going to be in the league leaders when it comes to sacks. I don't know what the Lions are going to do, but I do think if you get him, Davenport, McNeil, if nothing else, you got a better rotation there. Could he be the long-term answer for the next couple seasons for the Lions? Man, he keeps playing like that. I don't know how you keep him out of the lineup. But either that, what we can say is last night, if that's what we're going to see going forward, Lions defensive line, like MCDC once told us, we're good. He might be right. Dave Montgomery, the Knuckles to Gibbs Sonic, racked up 151 yards and 12 carries. Yes, he had 2 long runs, but let's also give praise to the Lions. There were a couple times last night, I want to say twice, they had to go 95-plus yards, and they did. A lot of it was the ground game. A lot of it was that interior offensive line pushing the Ravens defensive line backwards. A lot of it is the running backs, and Montgomery, you're going to be hearing about him all week. He made a statement game. Don't forget about me. You know what? We should not forget about him. I hope we see more of that next week. Number 3 on this list, Johnny Morton himself, the offensive coordinator. The question is going to be if we keep this up with the Lions offense. Was it Ben Johnson or was it John Morton who really made this offense years ago when they were both here with the Detroit Lions? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was, we can give credit to Dan Campbell as well. Fans and analysts, including ESPN's Stephen A. Smith, openly questioned the Lions offense coordinator John Morton's ability to run the Lions schemes, all the players after week 1. I mean, everybody took shots at him, said, this guy should have never been hired. Myself included, I did take a couple questions about him. Now that Morton has had some time to digest things, get everything kind of fully integrated, what he wants, some of the expectations. And you know what? I know I talk about all the time. When you don't play people in the preseason, it does take some time in the regular season to get them up to speed. It looks like John Morton's got the offense up to speed. Jack Campbell might have only been playing with one part of his lip. If you guys didn't see the injury, man, that's a pretty good cut in his lip. He's going to have a mark there for a long time. But there should be no questions about his toughness. The top of his lip was basically ripped in 2. He just put some gum on it or whatever, maybe some liquid nail, and got back on the field. And he had a pretty good game out there. He stopped Lamar once or twice. He ate up some passing lanes for him. His stats probably won't show all across the stat sheet or in the score box or whatever, but his play out there, we talk about this defense a whole lot in depth all week long. He was a key component to it. All right, last person here as far as the stock watch, Jared Goff. Anybody who came into the season still having questions about JG's ability to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league, they should probably just stop. I get he's never going to be, in some people's eyes, the starting quarterback for the Detroit Lions. But all this guy does is win. He completes passes at an incredibly high rate. Did actually run a couple times yesterday. You can say maybe his form running isn't the greatest, but he does seem to be incorporating that at least somewhat more. He's got weapons. He takes advantage of the weapons. He throws guys open. He takes care of the ball. I'm just not sure what else you really want out of a starting quarterback in the NFL. We can all say he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not this guy. He's not that guy. Look, there's only 2 or 3 of those guys in the NFL. And I don't know how you get them if you don't have them. So maybe it's just time to sit back and relax and say, hey, we don't have Patty Mahomes or Josh Allen, but we got Jared Goff. You know what? He is a top 5 NFL quarterback right now. I think I'm going to take the guy that we got under center. All right, let's finish that up with 5 headlines now. Let's go over to the main topic today. We're going to have us a little time for Duke Crew comments before we get over to Anthony Roar Lines UK in about 10 minutes. So without further ado, let's get on over to, well, the main topic of the day. I didn't get much sleep, so maybe I hit the wrong buttons. All right, what's the more impressive part of last night? If I had to ask you guys, went into that game, I'm going to guess most of us were going to say, hey, the Lions could score some points on Baltimore. Thought it would be a shootout, and for the most part, it was. But did you see the defensive performance coming? Did you see 7 sacks? And be fair, even though you could have maybe had a few more, the Lions harassed. I mean, you got 30 pressures, right? Lamar Jackson all night long. If he wasn't getting sacked, he had somebody coming into his vision fairly often. How many of you now view what MCDC said about the defensive front a little bit differently? How about the scheme for the defensive front? Do you feel a little bit more confident, I should say, with that? We've had all sorts of talk every week about this team, about, man, we just don't get the pressure. Man, we should have got Trey Hendrickson. We should have traded for this guy, that guy, or whoever else. If only we had Micah Parsons. But I think we're starting to, as fans, maybe have to sit back and say, hey, nobody's really running on this defensive front. This front 7 is held up for 3 straight weeks. And yes, you're going to have to do it every week throughout the season. But we can also say quarterbacks haven't really torched us with the mobility like they have in the past. Lamar Jackson had whatever it was, 35 yards last night. Let me tell you, that's not a huge rushing day for that young man. He is incredibly talented, and for the most part, and other than a couple of moments here and there in the first half, you kept him in check. Go back even to week 2 against the Chicago Bears. Do you remember Williams, other than 1 or 2 runs, really doing much against us? It's been the Achilles heel for this defense seemingly for a decade. Mobile quarterbacks shred us, but not so fast. You've faced a couple of guys, 3 straight weeks. Jordan Love, I'm going to throw in as a mobile quarterback, and none of them have really owned this Detroit Lions D. We had questions about Aiden Hutchinson. Is he back? Man, every week he seems to do a little bit more and more. That punch out on Derrick Henry, let's face it, that was a key component of the game. Why? Well, you got the ball. Yes, we didn't score a touchdown, but you were able to take a 4-point lead to 7 and put a little bit more pressure on that Baltimore offense to have to get going in hurry-up mode. I thought they really kind of abandoned Derrick Henry probably after that fumble. They can worry about that. I'm not even going to break it down and analyze it, but I thought their offense became very one-dimensional. Hutchinson seems to be getting a little bit more conditioning too. You could see him out there. I don't know what his snap count officially was, but I'm going to guess he was out there about 80% of the snaps, maybe a touch more than that. And you know what? Later in the game, you could see where he was setting up and wearing down both of the tackles on the offensive line for Baltimore. He had a real nice inside move. He beat a double team. I know a whole lot of people across the national media came out this offseason and said he's not worth 40, 50 million. He can't beat double teams. Yes, he gets sacks, but you know what? The great ones get double teamed all the time. Let me say it. I didn't rewatch a ton of the game last night. I watched different parts. I probably rewatched about 80% of the game over last night and just tried to do it with the coaching eyes. And he's double teamed a whole lot. And if he's not double blocked, he's single blocked with a chip coming through. It's tough to beat that. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are Robert Porsche, Lawrence Taylor, whatever. That's going to wear on anybody. He's still coming back, getting in full shape. But you know what? When the game was on the line, he took on a triple team block and got that sack on Lamar Jackson's back. So give him that. Tesla, I know we want to talk about him all the time. You did see him out there more last night, but you could also see why the coaching staff isn't quite ready to have him out there. In some pressure moments there, he kind of needs to work on cutting through his routes a little bit more, cutting them off. So going in and out, not rounding him, he'll get there in time. I will throw this out about Tesla, though. On that 4th and 2 play, the alley-oop pass, basically the rainbow pass to St. Brown, he's out there, and he's out there to A, chip a defender, and then B, release into the slot. And I thought he did a good job with it. His blocking, I don't have pro football grades or focus grades or anything, but the plays he's out there, when it's a running play or even a passing play and he's pass blocking, he does a real good job with it. You can see why they want him out there in that situation. The other rookie I'll talk about is Tyleik Williams. I mentioned in the post-game show, and that's not reviewing the tape. That's just me watching him in the game and trying to come up with stuff. He's a pretty damn good immovable object inside. Him and DJ Reader, you see why teams struggle to run up the middle on us, because there's just no space. He's moving people and moving offensive linemen that way, back into the quarterback. It also paid off at times with the linebackers or the blitzes, people shooting gaps, just because at times you were seeing Tyleek command 2 people because he just can't be moved. They were trying to get him out of the way. You can't move him out of the way. If this holds up throughout the entire season, we could probably safely say, Brad Holmes needs another A+ grade for this draft, because the first 2 round guys, you know what? Williams and Ratledge, they're paying off more and more, and they're only going to get better. I think we all agree as rookies. Tesla, he's going to take some time to get there. I think you're seeing a whole lot of good. It's going to get better. I also know everybody and their mother, the first half, I was trying to jump while I was watching the game with some buddies. I was trying to jump between Derek at Lion Syndicate, shout out, and Micro Mike's podcast. I get Terrion Arnold gets targeted, but I thought the second half he played pretty well. He's still developing, still growing. Some people are going to say, hey, bench him. The only problem is if the coaching staff thinks he's one of the top 3 cornerbacks, that probably tells you who's on the bench. The other aspect, I know I talk about it all the time and I get tired of talking about it, is cornerback is probably one of the top 3 or 4, maybe even top 2 most difficult spots in the NFL to play. The rules are all against you. The receivers have all the advantages. Yes, he makes mistakes, but I do think he is developing. That second half, I thought, was pretty dang good from him. First half, yeah, he got roasted a little bit, but you know what? He responded quite well, in my opinion. All right, let's get to see what you guys have to say. But right now, I'd say any questions about the offensive line, defensive line, you got to be feeling pretty good about it. They're passing all sorts of tests. You're improving exponentially. The linebackers, I haven't watched a ton of other NFL teams. I've watched some. I would throw this at you guys. Who has a better linebacking department than the Detroit Lions in the NFL? You might be able to name a couple, but I think the Lions safely are in the top 7, maybe top 5 for a linebacker play out there. Every one of those guys out there, I think, brings something different, and they do it well. Jack Campbell, like I said, he helps with that running game. He's so big and physical up there. If you try to run up the middle with Reed and Williams, you know what? You've got another 6'5" big dude coming downhill on you, and he flows well to the ball. Alex Anzalone, I think, he didn't have his best game, didn't have a bad game. Derek Barnes, a whole lot of people came after him for getting that contract. He made some key plays last night. Dropping into coverage, I liked when they dropped him into zone. I thought he flowed well. He bumped receivers. He did a lot of good stuff. He was better in coverage than I would have guessed going into that game. But what I really like, that key play, the sack he got on Lamar, he's in coverage. He instinctively comes up and makes that play. He shoots a gap, gets after Lamar. It wasn't a huge tackle. He got him just by a shoestring. But you know what? Sometimes that's all you need. Take the guy to the ground and he got him done. All right, we've got about 2 minutes until we have Anthony show up. So let me scroll to the top of the screen and get through as many comments as I can before he joins us. I'm guessing everybody is probably a little tired from last night's game. I know I'm feeling it. So hopefully you all have a delicious Mountain Dew or whatever to help wake you up and enjoy a Victory Tuesday. Johnny L., good morning, folks. Back at you. Trey, what's good, everybody? Question mark. We were the more physical team last night. Al-Quadin Muhammad, should start the rest of the season. I know there's going to be a lot of people saying that for sure. Bo, 7. That's the number. We leave at 7. Exclamation point. Good morning, crew. We'll love that. Number 7. Woo! Hey, 7 sacks. Did you have that? Would you have guessed that? I don't think many of us did. Moodscar, good morning, winners. Exclamation point. Back at you. Eddie, we had Lamar running for his life. Hey, 30 pressures. That's going to be hard to ever replicate in an NFL game again, let alone against one of the better quarterbacks, and a 2-time MVP winner. Bo, good Victory Tuesday, exclamation point. Oh, yeah. Multiple spies. We did play some spy coverage, and you know what? Give Shep some credit. He found a way to put guys who come in off the bench and everything in position to find success. You want to know when you're a good coach? You take a piece, you take a part, you put it in there, and you make sure that part is able to play to its strengths, not its weaknesses. Johnny L., I told you that we would win this game. There you go. Jess, Monty looked great last night. Good to see him back in the light, 100%. Yeah, and you kind of forgot about him. You know what? He gave everybody a wake-up call. Johnny L., let's see what the naysayers have to say. There'll probably be a little bit of that for sure. Moonscar Blade, Lions O-line ends Ravens 57-game sack streak. Exclamation point. Can I get a nature boy? Woo! You know what? I think I actually had a graphic dialed up for that. I don't know if, I'm not even going to waste it. Get through the comment section. But you are right. Should you get a woo for that? You know what? I'll give you the Lions a woo for that. How about a 1, 2, and a 3? And I get to clear my throat, so that helps out too. Henry Moore, good morning, Coach Dan and the new crew. What a team! What a podcast! Exclamation point! What about those Lions? Woo! You got me there, Henry. And good morning to you, Amy Sprague. Congratulations to the ultra fabulous Detroit Lions on an incredible power win! Exclamation point! Good morning to our fearless leader, Dan, and the incredible new crew. What a great way to start our day! Woo! I'll go with that. Good to see you this morning. Silver, good morning, Coach, and all Lions fans. Good morning to you. Susan Scott, a lot of what people wrote us off after week 1, those people might be a little silent today. Hey, the NFL is the most week-to-week sport out there that I'm aware of at the professional level. Things change so quickly from one game to the next. You know what? Now the challenge is keep ascending. I have no doubt the MCDC and the coaches will have this team keep going forward. Same with the leaders on the team, some of the captains, etc. JDC, morning all, back at you. Silver, Lion of scrimmage, exclamation point. Lions showed they are indeed a true team. Built from within, like we said yesterday, a force to be reckoned with. I would agree with all that. Johnny L, Susan, somebody's going to come up with stuff. Oh, yeah, always, man, always. Carrie, morning, everyone. Same to you. Jim, we might be better than we thought in the trenches. We might be indeed. All right, guys, I see Anthony's warming up on deck. Let's go over to our special guest today. You know him, you love him. He's the guy from the other time zone with great, phenomenal guest appearances. Hey, let's bring on Anthony from Roar Lions UK. It is a Victory Tuesday. Anthony, what are your thoughts on last night's game?
I'm very tired for one. I was up till 5:30 a.m. this morning watching that one and digested it in, but I would not change that for the world. That was an absolutely fantastic performance. I've not seen anything like it from the Lions in a while. We went there, we dominated, we won the time of possession in the first half, kept Lamar on the sideline, kept him cold, and then even when we went behind, we hit back straight away. The Ravens never had a drive in this game with the lead to allow them to play football the way they want to, and to go and do that on the road in this circumstance, man, that was absolutely tremendous. I'm feeling great, even though I just rolled out of bed about 15 minutes ago after midday. But this is what we do it for, man. These are the games we love.
You know, when you analyze last night's game, in your opinion, if you can break it down, what was the most impressive aspect? The offense, the defense, the coaching, the cojones to go for it on 3 4th downs?
Oh, where do you start? I mean, this is a culmination of a full team effort. Both sides turned up, and while they maybe sometimes didn't concurrently show up in successive drives with one another, both teams did what they needed to. Offense started hot. We said about time of possession, how well we needed to keep them on field. The 2 touchdown drives are just over 6 minutes and 10 minutes, the longest drive of the season by anybody, which absolutely backbreaks you if you're a defense. They were gassed all game. That's why we were able to put up so many points on them. And then the defense, it got shredded early. But I say this very early, Shep, the adjustments he makes on defense are phenomenal as a coach. We said I wasn't worried after the first 2 Ravens drives when they got touchdowns on there, because I'm like, Shep will find a way to stem the tide, and they did. And the way they just showed up, and they were physical, they were hitting hard, they were disciplined when it came to Lamar. The linebackers were tremendous. Then you look on offense, Monty may go down as one of the best free agent signings Detroit's ever had. What he does when we were backed up on that 10-minute drive, we said, bring Monty and he'll get you the hard yards. He did. 5 yards, 6 yards, first carry, gets you in short yardage situations, keep going. The receivers blocked their absolute asses off. I will have to go back and watch, but I think Jameson Williams put in one of the best blocking performances from a receiver you will see in your life. There were at least 3 massive blocks that JMO had down in the trenches, really. That's what he's about. He's one of the best blocking receivers there is. He's up there with Amon-Ra. That's why our team's so damn good. They fight for one another. The offensive line was tremendous in pass protection, in run protection. I called us winning this game in preseason predictions. I said we needed just a few weeks for the trench guys just to settle in, knock the rust off, get to where they need to, and they did. This was just all round. And then, of course, it starts at the top with Dan. Whereas, a few weeks ago, John Harbaugh and his analytics said against the Bills, I'm not going to trust Lamar Jackson on my offense to get a couple of yards on fourth down. I'm going to punt it. Right. Dan goes for it every time. And those first few years where we just went for it on fourth down all the time and everyone was confused, it's like, that's why. You're preparing your team for high leverage moments. The more you put them in fourth down situations, the more you trust them in fourth down situations, the more they are going to repay you, the better executed they're going to be, the more they can deal with the pressure in those situations. And I never had any doubt that Dan was just going to keep going for it again and again and again. You're at Ravens defense, you're tired. You've got to face 4 downs, not 3 downs. This was a complete team performance all across the board.
Let's talk about real quick the front 7 for the Detroit Lions, because I don't think too many people, maybe nobody whatsoever, came into this game thinking the Lions would get 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson and 30 pressures. What did you see last night out of that pass rush, the pressure, the coaching, whatever, that made this so effective for the Detroit Lions defense?
The secondary. We told you it starts with the secondary. The secondary's ability to hold up in coverage and keep Lamar in the pocket. Like, there were so many times when Lamar was trying to find targets downfield and he couldn't find targets downfield. DJ, Terrion, guys like this had a tremendous game, and they adjusted early after a couple of, big plays where they did get burnt a bit down the field. Branch got targeted a bit early. Defense adjusted. Like when we got the strip sack, or when Campbell got the strip sack early in the game when we defended our own end zone, you can see Lamar is desperately trying to find a target to fire at. DJ's got his man covered. Terrion's got his man covered. And what that means is your linebackers can be more disciplined. They can stop and wait for the quarterback, see where he's going. They're not having to drop into coverage to help out. It allows your front 7 to go nuts on them. And it was a great performance from them. And all the while they've got the refs on their side, it's one of the worst refereeing performances I've ever seen in my life. That Terrion DPI in the end zone is one of the biggest blown calls I've ever seen in my life. He turns his head to look for the football. DeAndre Hopkins has his face in Terrion's grill, in his helmet, on his face, and it gets called on Terrion. It's a joke. But we've come so far as a franchise now that even with refs homering against us, we take them out the game. And that's what Dan says. You can't do anything about it. Take them and their shitty decisions out of the game. Don't let them be of consequence, and we did. But yeah, the secondary really held up its end, which allowed the linebackers and the defensive line to do their job. I really loved it.
I'm not here to be a conspiracy theorist. The only thing I would say is I've covered the NFL so long that I thought there were some key penalties at key times to try to keep the Ravens in the game. Like when late in the game when we were trying to ice it and they called the face mask, and it was a face mask. I want to be fair on Mahogany. But, offensive linemen getting their hands in there with finger in there, that happens so often. I thought the timing it was pretty poor. But you called that. But to your point on the DeAndre Hopkins pass interference, he face masks Terrion Arnold to get separation or tried to. And, not exactly called, was it? But moving on from that. All right, let's talk about Al-Quadin Muhammad, because you know what? If he's not the biggest name on Detroit's defense right now, everybody's going to be wondering why we haven't had this guy out there even more to start the year. What did you think of his performance last night?
Usually it's not nice to see a player get hurt, but sick note, getting injured again might be the best thing that happened to this team because it's put AQM into it. And, Dan mentioned other players on that line have got to make plays when Hutch is commanding so much attention. Like, that's the point of having a superstar edge rusher. He takes the triple teams, the double teams, whatever. He's got the running back watching him. So everybody else gets a little bit of an easier time to be able to go and get to the quarterback. And someone needs to step up and win consistently more one-on-ones. I think we're on stream last night. Someone said his pass rush win rate at some point was like 45%. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. They left him free on some plays as well for him to free blitz. But the most critical thing is he made his tackles. Like, we made so many tackles on Lamar in this game. Like, we didn't miss. We were accurate, but AQM was part of that. And when he starts getting home, you saw later in the game, they're having to put more attention on AQM, which gives Hutch more of an opportunity to get into the game. Hutch gets his sack later on in the game, so they feed off one another. You can't just keep triple teaming, double teaming Hutch. If the other end's getting in there, eventually you're going to have to put protection on both sides, which is going to open it up. And I think they did a tremendous job, and Shep did a tremendous job of, the plays he called and, the tactics he was using. There were lots of stunts. There were lots of inside blitzes. There were a lot of, it's what the Packers did to us week one. Like, it was a defensive masterclass in that they were just moving people all over the place, attacking from every direction, finding weak spots and drilling at them. And it was tremendous to see him do that. But obviously that doesn't happen without AQM having the game he did on one side, meaning that the coverage has got to be spread and not just lined up on Hutch. That opens everything up after that. So, he was tremendous. He has earned more reps going forward. And screw it, when Davenport's back off IR, he can sit his ass on the bench and we can let AQM do his role, because he was really good last night.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with him, Davenport being a rotational guy. Maybe it'll keep him healthier. But you think about when Aleem gets back, Rodrigo gets back, Davenport gets back, that rotation with the front seven starts looking pretty dang deep. Let's talk about the rookies real quick. Let's start with the two linemen. Let's start with Williams, Rakestraw. What did you see out of them as far as this is week 3? What are you liking? What are you disliking with these guys?
Ratledge is dominating. There was a play when he did a spear on Odefi Owe. He pile drived him into the ground, and Goldberg would have been proud of it. Like, he's just an absolute run-mauling monster. They were running a lot through that right guard spot. Monty was especially running a lot through that right guard spot because of the holes him and Penne were opening up. This is why he should never have been moved to center. This is where Ratledge is at home. This is where Ratledge does his damage. He's got the best right tackle in the league next to him. And I think there was one play where he got absolutely thrown into the backfield, into Gibbs, and almost took him out. But rookies are going to get got in this league. As long as you are consistently winning more reps than you're losing, it's great. But Ratledge looks right at home now. He is exactly what this offensive line needed. He's going to be a mainstay for us for a decade. I love him so much. And you saw in the end zone, in those short goal line situations, they were just mauling out holes again and again and again and again. And I think it's helping Glasgow as well, having him in there with him to help out. So, it's the rookie helping the vet, weirdly enough. So he's great. Tyleek is really good as well. He's bedding in well on this line. I think this was a better game for Reader. And when Reader's playing better, I think that helps Tyleek as well. And, the run defense was good. Derek didn't really have much on the day. There was the one touchdown that he got where they all kind of got a bit murked. But for the most part, they were really stout, kept Henry down, kept forcing him to the outside, which he doesn't really like to do. He likes to run between the tackles. So you can tell that the defense is holding up. So these trench players are bedding in quick and they're looking damn good. And like you say, when we get guys back off IR and that, the depth we're going to have on that line is insane. And it means we don't need to play Aleem all the time either. But yeah, the two trench rookies were phenomenal.
The Lions offense, there have been some questions about John Morton taking over. What do you feel like after 3 games he's brought to the table? What do you think will happen going forward?
I mean, he looks damn good. And he's bringing his own concepts to the game. He was playing the Maryland trips a lot yesterday, where he had a wide receiver and 2 running backs in the backfield. It almost looked like an old school triple option offense. And the thing is, they weren't doing the same thing with it every time. First time they tried, it wasn't good. They pulled all 3 of them out to the left, and then they had a guy pulling to the left, to the right, coming down the middle. Where's he going to take the carry? Like, it's a unique concept, which they pulled off really well. Obviously, we had the trick play as well that we pulled out the bag. Didn't need to be fancy, but he kept the Ravens guessing. And again, like he did with the Bears, he kept hitting them in all manner of different areas. He stuck with Monty. And, with Monty, we were running the ball well. They were spreading the ball out amongst targets. Laporta was great at moving the chains. Amon-Ra on your clutch third downs you go to. J-Mo got some shots early as well. He kept mixing it up. You didn't know what was coming on offense because we've got that many targets. No team should know what's coming with them.
Absolutely.
you should be able to use all your targets, and they used every single target they had to try to get Raymond involved as well. But I love the versatility of the offense he's got and the variety of offense that he's using, because these defensive coordinators just can't settle on them, and they just have no idea what's coming, where they're going to get hit. And I think it's just that first game. You've got your offensive line bedded in. It's the first time they've ever played together. There's 2 rooks in there. I think the more and more I think about it, Green Bay caught us cold. If we played Green Bay today, we'd absolutely kick their ass. They just caught us cold with 2 new coordinators. But he's got his groove now. He looks really good. And I'm really, I'm enjoying it as much as I am Ben's offense, quite frankly. So, yeah, long may it continue.
Well, I think, to your point about Green Bay, it was at their place week 1. They just made the trade. There was all sorts of energy. They did play some guys during the preseason, just lots of little things. I know I've said it before, just from a coaching standpoint. I look at that game and I say there's an 8 to 12 play difference. You make half those plays, the Lions probably win it or incredibly competitive in it. If Green Bay, unfortunately, got most of those 8 to 12 plays, and it probably got them the game. But going forward now, let's talk about upcoming. This victory, everybody's going to salivate over it. Everybody's going to feel great about it for a day or two. But real coaching talk, you got to move on. The Cleveland Browns are going to come into town. They just beat the Green Bay Packers. What are your thoughts on that defense? Because, man, that defense, at least in my eyes, looks like one of the best ones, maybe the best one in the NFL.
Yeah, you've got to let this game go now. As bad as it sounds to say, like, it means nothing now. You're still in the regular season. You can still not get to the playoffs. And I'm not saying we're not been doom-monger. I'm just saying theoretically right now, that game's done. You've got to move on. And you've seen with Cleveland that, people doubt that team. And yes, the offense isn't very good. But what we've seen is they've got a defense that can win a game on its own. And you have to respect that. And you look at the investments they've made along that line. Mason Graham is playing. He looks like one of the best defensive tackles in the league right now. Myles Garrett is probably the best edge rusher in the league. It's going to be a massive test for our young front as to what they can do with it. And, you've got to break them down. They're a tough nut to crack. Thankfully, that is the type of nut that we like to crack. But we have now got to, show them the utmost respect. And I know the Lions do. The Lions never, ever, even if it's the worst team in the world, they will show them all the respect in the world. But you've just got to be careful now. You've got 2 games coming up. Bengals look gash without Burrow. The Browns are there to be had. They're not going to score many points. 20 points probably wins you a game against them. You've got to do this professionally. You've got to knock these off the board and just keep this momentum rolling, and and don't lose any of the progress you got from this one. So yeah, I'm expecting a very tough game against Cleveland. But again, I think our grit, our determination will break them down. We do what we did against Baltimore, just long, sustained drives, gas that D-line out, and then just sort of pick apart the remains of it. But I'm not taking it lightly for sure. They will hurt us if we don't approach it the right way, but we will.
All right, why don't you go? I want to thank you for getting up. I know you didn't get much rest, but making a little time out for the Do Crew. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, Anthony, your great work, and how to show you some love, support your channel, etc.
Yeah, you can find me at Roar of the Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. So if you want to come get your Lions news and views from a British perspective, then come find us at Roar of the Lions UK. We usually live Mondays. We're live during the games as last night. Thank you to everyone who joined. I know some of the Dew crew were in there, so appreciate you all. I talk college ball on Wednesdays. We'll be doing game previews, all that sort of stuff. We're live a lot this week, so just come by, say hi. We'd love to have you in the building. We love talking ball with everyone. So appreciate you, Dan. Appreciate you, Dew crew. And all I want to say to everyone is have the greatest day you can, because I know I am. I look dead on my face, but inside I am the happiest man alive. I am not going to stop smiling about this one. So have a fantastic day, everybody. Thank you, Dan, as always. I look forward to doing this again next week. And yeah, we roll on. But yeah, screw the media. We proved you wrong.
Forward down the field, my friend. All right, Anthony, we'll catch you next time. Thanks again, man, for making a little time for the Dew crew.
You are most welcome. Take care, all.
We'll see you now. All right, guys, let's go to the comment section. We got about 10 minutes. I'll try to power through as many as I can. I see we're still pretty behind, though. But Kurt Steele, the refs tried to give that game to the Ravens. Didn't work. No, man. There was a couple ones I really took umbrage with. The field goal is what it is, but I think should be reviewable, or especially since they have basically chips in the ball. You could tell that thing wasn't fully inside the upright. Close, I guess, though. Same with the Goff pass that they said was a lateral. I don't know, man. Just a lot of things like that jumped up. All right, Leonard, coach 5-2 or 6-1 would be very realistic by the bye week. I'll take that. Drew, good morning. Dan and the Duke Crew, back at you, Brian. If we drafted again, we would draft Terrion. Terrion gave up all the passes. I don't know, guys. You can have your opinion. Mine is I like where he's going. Again, I just think everybody can have different opinions. Mine is simply this. He's a young corner. It takes time to grow. I know everybody wants him to be Deion Sanders, some guy comes in and is great right away. It doesn't happen like that. What I would say is, I know Anthony pointed out, I know you guys saw it. Second half, Lamar looked for people to throw to. Did he find people to throw to often? Not so much. And that's a credit to the secondary locking people up. Those pressures were happening a lot of times because Lamar's looking for someone who's open. They just weren't getting open. The first half, I agree. Terrion could have played better, but you know what? Second half, he did. That's, again, my opinion. Doesn't have to be yours. Thomas, Kurt, I love you, dude, but I told you we had to run the ball to win. There you go. And we'll see. Yep, and we'll go with that. Motown, the NFL is better with Detroit on top again. I concur. Pierce, Hookadoo, laughing out loud. Leonard, 100%, says Thomas. The Rebel, that was truly dominating performance last night. Exclamation point. Woo! Mary. Yeah, I see that too, Professor. Pierce. Brian, redraft, I would have taken Dejean. All right, Dejean, excuse me. Steven, good morning, Duke Crew. What a way to blow up a narrative. I will go with that, man. George, O-line, D-line will be playing at a high level in week 8. Yeah, I think so too, man. They keep getting better. Credit the coaches, credit the players, credit whoever you want. I think they're going to be a problem for most other teams. I see 9 of 10 NFL Network analysts picked the Ravens. Yes, they did. A whole lot of people. Maybe a little bit wrong this morning. See, D notes, what do you got? C notes, excuse me. Monty is the man, been saying this all week. He could have a monster game, and he did have a monster game. Art, good morning, all. I got up late this morning, but I made it for the celebration. Nothing wrong with that, man. I'm guessing there's a whole lot of people slept in a little bit today. Johnny Gas, happy Tuesday, Duke Crew! Exclamation point. What a game. Yes, it was. Dynasty Lions, here's putting the narratives to rest. I go with that. Southwest, I can't wait to laugh at ESPN all day. They're eating, crow this morning. How about that with some hot sauce? Silver Server, yeah, Coach, exclamation point. Bring in Ric Flair. Heck, bring in Andre the Giant. Well, one of those might be a little difficult. Let's see, Leonard. Duke Crew, very happy. No injuries. Yeah, I don't think there really were any injuries, so that's something in itself. Byron Thomas, you all know at this point, I'll take Alaquidine, my opposite Hutch, any day over injured prone Marcus. Yeah, I hope we can get Marcus at least for a rotational piece the rest of the way. Cynthia, Ken Ross, the important thing is they got it done. Yes, there's always something to improve. It always is, man. That's some coaching speak right there. Miles, ain't great show. Great show. There you go. Motown, my bad. Motown, Ant-Man's into the Motown. There you go. Well, I'm messing things up, but it happens, man. Joseph, Ant-Man, exclamation point. Pat, Southwest, they will come up with something to say negative about the Lions, especially Dan Orlovsky. Yeah, it's almost what they get paid to do. Ken, agreed, Cynthia. Kurt Steele, Ant-Man. Man, I'm getting some delay here. Dynasty, 7 touchdowns last week, 7 sacks this week. Riding lucky 7s. Hey, might want to go play that something. Southwest, Troy Aikman said DC got big onions. Yes, he did say that. Silver, I should have been quiet about the guest. Now I'm going to look so bad as if often happens. That happens, man. We all get that. Big Belly Lou of the play calling on both sides was phenomenal. Good job. Yeah, and again, every coach is different. I'm not disrespecting anybody by saying this. It's just, in my opinion, based on the evidence of 3 games, Kelvin Shepard makes pretty quick in-game adjustments. I thought going into Green Bay was obviously roasting us in the first quarter. Towards the end of the first quarter, maybe like 3 minutes left, I thought he made some nice defensive adjustments, and he seems to do that every week. Dominic, good morning from Texas. Back at you. How you doing today? See notes from the 2 to the zone, 4 down the field. I'm down with that. Good morning, Dominic. Jacob, good morning. All Pierce, Dynasty Lions next week, 7 INTs against the Browns. Joe Flacco is not somebody you're going to have to worry about running all over the defense. So that might free up some stuff for Shep to come up with, get after him, and limit the offense for the Browns. Miles, hey, Jacob, great grit this morning. I concur. Motown, 2 drives, 95 yards. Yes, indeed. Dynasty Pierce, 100%. Greg C., that Malik signing was a pretty big deal, apparently. I'll go with that. Yeah, 100%. Steven, good morning, Coach Dan and the Duke crew. Early mornings are better with a Lions win. The Lions mauled the Dirty Birds. What a rushing attack by the Lions. Man, nobody probably saw that or the 7 sacks coming. Robert, they just missed getting 2 picks, and Ravens field goals was no good. Yeah, I thought that second one, the rule is, I know they talk about it here, it's got to be clearly inside the upright. That thing looked like it went over the upright, not right down over the cone itself. So that by rule would make it no good. Kevin, 2 stayed up to 6 a.m. from Warsaw, Poland. Exclamation point, great watch. Hey, man, you were up extra early for it. And Kevin, thanks for being a part of the Duke crew. JDC, Motown, Art, Sports, and Travel. Yep, exclamation. Those drives were impressive. They were indeed. The Rebel, what a thing of beauty, question marks. Rocket Red, countdown, liftoff. I'll take that. DM5, great win last night. AQM played his butt off. The kid just never stops moving. He's just always in motion, and good for him for that. Motown winning at JDC. DM5, Monty's yesterday MVP. That could be accurate, 100%. Kevin, BB was a bad call. I would agree with that. Yeah, the one where they called him for going low and stuff. The replay clearly showed that was a bad call. It happened. So Big Belly Lou. A lot of people thought Baltimore was going to win, and there was wrong. Well, let's go Detroit. Hey, Detroit's proving a whole lot of people wrong, aren't we? All right, I'm going to power through here. We got like 3 minutes left, so I'm going to try to get people who haven't been on as much. Silver Server DM5 TV, heard the news, just watched and give you my condolences. Yeah, sorry to hear that. DM5, Silver Server, the Rebel, I'm with you, Coach Dan. Exclamation point, the refs, yes, they try to keep it close or maybe sway the outcome. Pierce, I see us winning 3 out of the next 4. Let's see if we can go 4 for 4. Dynasty, DM, 70-yarder. There's another 7. I'll concur. Solus Damport can go to the ER and stay there. There's no way in heck I'm letting him back unless he gives Hutch a break. Yeah, maybe in a rotational piece. Who knows? The Zebras had to be in the Ravens' pockets. You do wonder about that. Miles Parker, true that seed note, 313. Good point. Greg C, AQM, don't stop. No, he doesn't, man. He keeps going and going. He's like the Energizer Bunny. Dude plays with a lot of heart. We love that here. Exclamation point. I concur with your assessment. Rob, St. Brown, 77 yards, 7 receptions. Hey, how about that? Let's see. Other people. Bo, 7. Exclamation point. That's the line we need for 7. I'll go with that. Bo, Abu, not missing Dev hurt at the Muhammad was great. He was pretty dang good, wasn't he? JDC from the deep of the pool. Lions 16-1. I would take that. Courtney, yes, Ant-Man. Exclamation point. Ratman and Panay open up holes. Yes, they do indeed. Eddie's Fish. Lions played a great game last night. The defense PI was bogus. Yeah, I think most of us agree with that. Dirk, they played big boy football last night. Yes, they did, my friend. Silent service. No negative comments from the normal culprits this morning. I think the negativity would be fairly silent. See, friends, what's happened here? Question mark. Looks like Martin knew what he was going with the office here. Yeah, give him all sorts of credit for that. Jay Bridge and no injuries. It does appear that is the case, other than Jack Campbell's upper face. Mary Smith, Southwest, laughing 100%. Jack Campbell was a dog last night. He played pretty well, 100%. And I hope he's okay, man, because that cut looked pretty bad. Burns, didn't watch the game, was Goff in shotgun a lot early in the game. Why? They switched it all around. Yeah, he was under center at times. It wasn't, this, that, the other thing. Southwest, where all the fake Lions fans sing Ravens, this and that. They're eating a bowl of Lions for breakfast. Could be. You got to eat what you want for the breakfast, right? Dynasty, the Goff spray chart, weeks 2 and 3 is amazing. I concur. Cynthia, good point. Anthony, exclamation point, use all your tools and confuse your opponents. And they did. Leonard, the run pass options play with St. Brown and Gibbs was sick and ice game. Yeah, that one where they ran for the touchdown. That was a real nice design. Silver Server, first victory in Baltimore since 1977. Sounds good. Hey, can't get things to move on the screen, so I'll just have to read them manually. Hey, there we go. Motown, hats off to the offensive line. They are getting better. Dynasty Lions, 1977 was 7s. Ooh, man, we do see a recurring theme here. DM5, Kevin Shepard, John Moe called a great game. Glad to have they have settled in. Yeah, they've settled in, gave them a little time, and look what they did. Silver Server, Lamar was 24-2 against NFC teams before Monday. Now he's 24-3. This is correct. Hookadoo. I'll take that. Silver Server, Grit wins. Pat, 457 in the chat. Hit all the buttons if you would, please. That would be great. Laporta balled out. He was open. He got open. And yes, Dennis, you are correct with that. JDC, puff, woo, coffee, and Lions Talk Live with an exclamation point. The Brit with grit. Yes, you are correct, Professor Steele. Science server Dan Campbell knows football. It turns out he might know something about football. No, thanks, Anthony. Miles Mart, Roar Lions UK, great channel. They are indeed. Mary, I'm not scared. We're about to pull the metal off the pedal, and the Brown got to bring their best. We'll dominate once again. I think we got a good shot. Of course, they're going to do everything they can to mess things up. Greg C., love our Brit fans. There you go. Hookadoo, thanks, Anthony. DM5, thanks, Anthony. Lauren, thanks, Ant. Southwest, Mua, the sack master. Yeah, Muhammad is a sack master, apparently. Silver Sir, Mary Smith, Lions will not make the mistakes to underestimate Cleveland. Let's hope not. Greg C., Taryn is so young. Yeah, still growing, still developing 100%. Remember, there are 5 teams that passed Quinn Muhammad. He took time to get to where he currently is. Miles Martin, have a good victory Monday, JDC. How about a Tuesday? JDC, happy trails, go Lions victory. We'll see you next time. Kurt Steele, going to Water Garden to see you guys at 8. We'll see you soon. Miles Martin, have a great, we got that one. John showed what the OCs were not the secret sauce. DC is, exclamation point, might be accurate. Silver Server, Montgomery is a heck of a running back, exclamation point. I already knew it, but yesterday he really showed me something. Great vision, shiftiness, not just power, very nimble on those feet, 100%. Miles Martin, I'm so many I told you. There are probably a whole lot of I told yous today. JDC, likewise, Miles Martin, until the Hun. Average fans don't know the development time for an NFL cornerback. Most take 3 years at a minimum to be elite. Coach, you have to forgive them for the knowledge. That happens, man. Everybody wants, success right away. I get that, man. DM5, glad we went to Monty. Gibbs is great, but Monty has the grit to wear down the defense goal lines. I'm down with that. Brent, victory Tuesday, exclamation point. Oh, yeah, crazy legs from, yes, indeed, great legs. Brian, got to give it up to the coaches. We are great yesterday. We were great yesterday. Silver Server, agreed. DM5, great legs. Crazy legs got it done. Yes, he did. Blind Tom. Hey, I haven't seen you in a hot second there, Blind Tom. The score could have easily been a lot worse for Baltimore. It could have, man. Joe, MCDC will have something to harp on with the no pass rush and sloppy tackling that let the Ravens get the garbage touchdown. Yeah, I would agree with that. That last score of theirs late in the game. That play/series was the same old Lions stuff. Thankfully, it wasn't. Yeah, it didn't cost us anything. Miles Meyer, yay, grit, exclamation point. Great Lakes, we have to clean up the special teams big time. All 3 games have been bad. Yeah, they got to get there for sure. Brian Muhammad and Barnes had great games. Yes, they did. Queen Mary, see you on the next Lions Talk Live. We love our Lions. Next one incoming. Agreed with that. Bo, happy trails, new crew. All done to dustin for another victory. See you later. We'll see you then. Thomas, hey, haven't seen that hot second, Thomas. This win gives me a better outlook on the rest of the season. 3-peat for the division crown. Let's make that happen. Blind Tom, the line could have easily scored 50. I think we could have scored 50. Leonard, hit all the buttons up for Coach. Yeah, if you guys can for the channel, hit the like and subscribe, etc. Miles Meyer, 1 Brian. Brian, tied for first place. Woo! Phil, don't overlook any teams. Yeah, bad move to do that. Blind Tom, I think Aaron Glenn leaving actually helped the Lions. Could be. Kurt Steele, later do crew. We'll see you then. Coach Tiny K, very happy for a fan today. Exclamation point. Team, them cheating days are over. We are not the same old Lions. No, we are not. Coach Tiny K, hey, Coach and Duke Crew, back at you. Phil, Dan Campbell just established himself as an elite coach. That might be accurate. And then Henry Moore, have a glorious day, my friends. So we'll see you next time. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. If there is breaking news later today, I'll get it to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something kind for someone you don't know. We'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Go enjoy yourself a Victory Tuesday. If I can get these buttons to work. Man, really not working. All right, maybe I just got to end it. All right, take care. We'll see you guys in the next one.